Cedar Point has finally unleashed the dragster upon us. Preview events are finally over and the park's opening day is near. I was able to experience Top Thrill 2 during the May 2nd pass holder preview for one ride on their new coaster, and I believe this is an excellent addition to Cedar Point. So a little bit about me. Dragster 2 was my 147th coaster credit, with my previous tallest and fastest being Fury 325. I had never experienced the original or Kingda Ka. I had no idea really what to expect with this ride. I made sure to get to the park early at 3 p.m., so when they opened at 4, I only had to wait 5 minutes to board once I got in and received my 4 to 5 p.m. slot. They were nice enough not to charge for the lockers on preview day, so that is a plus. Not going to get into that controversy here, but plenty of people are annoyed, and rightfully so in my opinion. But once in the station, I asked for the back row, and as it was a first come, first serve kind of thing, I was assigned row 7 as everything further back already had riders queued. So I got my ride, and that back spike was the real star of the show. This ride is just fun. It is a lot of plain and simple, pure fun. Flying back into that spike and getting to see the top of the power tower and everyone walking around like ants below is something else. It's a weird feeling as the train tops out and starts to fall back into the third launch, which is fast and super fun. Going up the top hat was interesting. I didn't really get much of a view at the top in the seat I was in. I suppose I would need the front for that, but being yanked down on that final twisted drop off the top hat was a great experience too. As far as reviewing this single ride goes, the big bear in the room was that I was fairly stapled in the station before the ride. I didn't really have any wiggle room whatsoever, and thus I felt no airtime at all going over the top hat. I think a little bit of wiggle room also would have helped give me more of that weightless sensation at the top of the spike too. After I got off of the dragster, I knew that I'm going to be enjoying this ride all summer long. Cedar Point gave us a coaster that I firmly believe will be a better and more reliable ride than its predecessor. From those who I have talked to, the ride experience not just being the launch and the top hat makes it a major improvement over the original, and plenty have told me that the airtime on the top hat is magical. I hope I can grab some front and back row rides on this soon. Now for the critiques on the ride. So just a preface here, we are entering the realm of nitpicks that can certainly be construed as enthusi elitism. They are the kind of complaints that you give when a ride comes out and it doesn't immediately break your top 5 or even your number 1 depending on your expectations. These launches, particularly the first launch, are really weak in the acceleration department. The first launch just has no kick to it at all. And to compare to a few other rides, I think Flight of Fear's initial jerk off of the line is better. Comparing to a hydraulic launch I have experience with, I don't think it compares to Storm Runner's launch. And when looking at something a bit more modern, Max Force launches 0 to 78 in 1.8 seconds. Something like that just isn't being done here. And when watching the dragster launch from the stands, part of me just kind of dies inside, not seeing it accelerate the way it used to. The other launches have a slower acceleration too, but as you're flying backwards 100 miles per hour on the second and dropping off of the spike on the third, it's still massively fun and will blow your minds. But Just don't expect a kick when you feel those LSMs engage. The acceleration is subtle on them. To critique the pass holder event itself, Cedar Point generally did a great job here. Though I only got to ride once, it was nice to not wait 3 hours to get my first ride. The time slot cards work really nicely, and having the lockers be free for the event was a nice touch. Magnum and Corkscrew being open was also nice and gave me something to do after having rode Top Thrill 2. The only possible gripe one could have had was with the meal plans not being available to use at the backbeat queue for the event. This rings as kind of strange to me because I have already used my meal plan this year at another pass holder preview event, one for Kings Island season pass holders. I feel like the chain ought to be a bit more consistent regarding these policies. To summarize, Top Thrill 2 is an amazing ride. I was very skeptical about Cedar Point's choice to revamp the dragster and selecting Zamperla to do the job. Usually, it's a bad sign when you see a coaster manufacturer take over another's project. Ninja at St. Louis and T3 with its Kumbach trains are generally considered to be some of the worst rides out there. This ride should be considered a massive success for Zamperla, and I hope to see some new ground-up creations from them in the future. Thank you for watching The Coaster Serpent, and have a great day.